So the first issue that a lot of people have with flipping is they think that flipping is just simply finding a cheap house, improving it, and then selling it for as much money as possible. On its face, that's what it is. But what it really is like 7 businesses in one. So I think the mark that most people are missing is that if you get in and you actually build out verticals and you're efficient and you're making money from all of the different pieces of the process of flipping houses, that's what makes you really valuable. And then you're able to leverage all of the different pieces as the markets shift. So I'll give you an example. So when we first started, we hired a random general contractor. We, were using a random hard money lender. When I needed help with design, I was hiring a designer. I would hire a stager to stage it. I listed myself. But then I realized over time, all of those things were pieces of this one end product that I was making. And if I could figure out a way to make money on all of those pieces, then I could get smarter and leverage my skill set and leverage my knowledge in the game, but then do that for other people and have less exposure financially. And so I think that's a big piece of the puzzle that flippers are missing. They think, again, that the lick is just buying the cheap house, fixing it up and selling it. When the real lick is the knowledge that you're going to get from all of the pieces of the puzzle in that business. And now I'm able to make 6 figures on a deal for houses that I'm not even buying.
Welcome back to the Leverage Lounge. I'm Mike Collier, and today's guest is a force. Chauncey Pham is a national real estate leader, 7-figure brand builder, investor, speaker, coach, and someone who's just mastered the art of leverage. With a background in agency marketing and sales, she's built multiple businesses by being unapologetically herself and teaching others to do the same. She leads a team of over 300 agents across 31 states, co-owns an investment firm. She's trained over 400 entrepreneurs how to build their brand rooted in boldness, belief, and strategy. And you may have even seen her on Zombie House Flipping, or maybe even sharing the stage with Tony Robbins. But today, she's here to show you how to be your own hero. So whether you're an agent just stuck in, let me just get one more closing mindset, or you're ready to flip your way into freedom, this episode will change how you think about leverage, media, and money. All right, let's jump in. Chauncey, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How you doing, Mike?
I am so glad that you said yes to this.
Of course, I'm going to say yes to you.
I know, but look, it's been so long since we really had a chance to just get into it,
Right.
I've shared the stage with you before, different events, and have always admired the work that you've done. And as we were talking before we started recording, I've seen the levels that you've gone through. And we were just talking about how, even only years ago, you didn't see yourself where you are now. I do want to get into that, but let's start a little bit earlier than all of that. Tell us how you even got into real estate. Tell us about Chauncey Pham. What should we know?
Yeah. So I've always been a speaker. Went to college on a debate and oratory scholarship. And so that kind of led its way into me being in sales. Before I got into real estate, I was in hardcore one call close credit card processing sales, transitioned out of that for a marketing firm. And so I think learning the sales and marketing from a really micro level in those 2 roles set me up for success in real estate. I didn't realize that that's what those jobs were doing, but it really was. So I ended up getting into real estate because my husband and I had bought and sold 3 homes over a 4-year period of our primary residences. And our loan officer kept saying, Chauncey, you'd be really, really good at this. I liked my job. I didn't want to become a realtor, but I went on and got my license anyway for one particular reason. And that one reason was because I wanted to go to Disney World and pay for the VIP passes for all of us. So my goal was to make $15,000 a year so that we could go and ball out at Disney once a year. That was it. That was the only reason I got into the business and got licensed, and very quickly realized that all of that sales and marketing that I had in my background worked really, really well in real estate. So I did well, ended up opening my own brokerage about a year and a half later. And then about a year after that, joined the national brokerage that I'm with now, built a large team of agents, and it's just been off to the races.
It's been amazing to watch. Now, a lot of people know you from your time as a broker or now as the coach flipping agents into investors.
Right.
But I want to go back. What were some of the systems or even the mindset shifts that allowed you to transition from production to platform?
You know, so I will say from the very beginning, once I got in, at first it was just I'm going to sell a couple of houses so we can go to Disney World. But after about those first 3 months, and I realized the income potential in the business and started understanding it more, I would say after being in the business for 6 months, I didn't look at production as being the end all. I then started looking at production as the entry level position into this vast industry that had all of these moving pieces that I could become a part of. So I
Mm,
think because I never looked at it as sales and production was going to be the way that I made money, I always looked at it as, okay, I'm going to learn everything that I can about sales and production and then learn about all of the processes, systems, organizations around it, and then figure out how I can capitalize on it. I think because that was my mindset, it was very easy for me to transition into these other spaces.
absolutely. You entered into it thinking sales production, but like you said, it's only 6 months, which is impressive because at 6 months you had this mindset shift where you went from kind of this employee mindset to a business ownership mindset. And you
Oh,
said, okay, well,
absolutely.
I'm going to be a real
Absolutely.
estate business owner, not just some agent that's out here selling homes.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Let's talk through that. You started realizing that, okay, well, this doesn't have to be your only income source. There's a lot of different, this thing has legs, but then you
Right.
started leveraging content. I mean, I've watched you do this. Like you started automating different parts of your business. So talk to us about how that kind of started to happen.
You know, this is something that a lot of people would find to be a controversial statement, but I am inherently lazy. And when I say that meaning I don't revere working hard. I don't find that it's noble just working yourself to the bone and not enjoying anything about life. And so,
You don't care to have the story of sleeping in your car and sleeping at work and working
no,
48 hours a week. No,
yeah,
that's
no,
not
that's
you.
always been silly to me. The concept of that has always been silly to me. And so in saying that, in everything that I've ever done, I'm always looking for processes and systems that can be duplicated and that can be automated and that can make my life easier. So even from the very beginning of selling houses, when I would notice that I was having the same conversation over and over with someone, I'll keep having the same conversation with every client. I'm going to make a video and then I'm going to make a video series and I'm going to make a drip campaign out of it so that when I get a client, then I'm going to send this to them and then tell them to watch the video and I'm not repeating myself. Even in terms of things as small as that, I understood leveraging automation and leveraging video and being able to duplicate things that you were doing was really, really important. And I want to say that one of the leaders of our group, Jay Kinder, I heard him say that if you can't hand over everything that you're doing to someone else for them to do it, all you've done is built a jail cell. You've built a job
Right.
for yourself. It's not a business unless it's something that you can hand over. And so
That's
I
right.
really paid attention to that in real estate. And as I was building out all of these shortcuts and ways for me to do everything, I mean, Mike, even my conversations with people, I have text shortcuts in my phone. So when I would meet someone on the elevator or whatever, and I would tell them that I'm a realtor, instead of me having to ask for their phone number and then type out a message, I would just ask for their phone number and hit T1 and it would send an introduction email to them with a link to my website, you know? So I just always was looking for ways to build out those processes. And so it was just a natural progression for me to continue doing that as I've built out all of the businesses that have come to follow.
You know, it's funny because you say that this came out of your need or the way that you're wired to simply you're just lazy and you don't want to, but it comes from so much more because there's a whole bunch of lazy folks that's just not making no money out here, right? So
Right.
so you have a special brain
Yeah.
and you think about things differently, which is why I wanted to have you on because I mean, every single time we talk, you expand my vision. Like, I hadn't even thought about that. Like, even the T1 text concept, like, why not? But we haven't, right? We
Yeah.
rely on our CRMs to send this stuff out. And so you were doing it just with your text messages. And this was,
Yeah.
many, many years ago. Now you said something kind of powerful before we hit record. And maybe I'm paraphrasing, but you said visibility is vanity, but conversion is king, which, I love that because you're converting your visibility into leverage.
Yes.
And so you're very visible on multiple platforms. How are you converting visibility into leverage? Like, how does that play into one? Why do you see it's being important to be on social media and to speak your truth on social media for people to see it? And then how does that turn into conversion?
That's a lot to unpack, but I think at foundationally, obviously social media is a tool that if you leverage it properly, instead of having, again, multiple conversations and the same conversation over and over, it's just exposing you to a ton of people at one time. But more importantly, if you learn how to actually use that tool, because this is where I think a lot of real estate agents and people mess up, is they look at just getting on social media and using the tool that's going to solve all of their problems. But that's no different than me having a tool to build a house. But if I don't have a strategy and I don't have a floor plan and I don't have a blueprint, then it's not going to work. So I think leveraging the tool and understanding its power and the exposure that it can bring, but then putting a strategy behind it is super important. And so from the very beginning for me, my strategy has been very, very simple. My strategy has been to not present myself in an elevated manner online and to present myself only in a way that lets people know that what I've done is not special. Therefore, my results are not special. Therefore, they are able to achieve it as well. And in doing that, it has attracted all sorts of people that then I can continue feeding my message and pointing them in whatever direction that I want them to go to, because I'm speaking in a manner that's simple. I'm simplifying very complex concepts and I'm showing them that, I'm not fancy. So if you notice, if you go and look at anything that I've done on social media, you will never see me in front of a fancy car. You will never see me posing in front of a big fancy house. You will never see me typically, with a lot of designer bags and designer clothes. And I'm going to show up the way that I am because I am just a regular everyday person. And if I want other people to do what I'm doing and I want them to buy my offers and buy into what I'm doing, then I have to be relatable, not just verbally, but in my action as well. And so I think that by leveraging the tool of social media in that way, where there's self-deprecating humor, there's honesty to a point that it's almost offensive sometimes, but it is just the honest, raw truth of being a human, that has helped me to build my entire brand and leverage so many pieces of the puzzle.
But there's genius in your simplicity, even
Right.
still. And I'll underline that here. But like, because you're not showing up in the designer bags in front of the luxury cars, in front of the houses and all that kind of stuff, then you're attracting a different type of clientele
Bingo.
that reaches out to you to begin
Correct. Correct.
with. Right. And so is that accidental, or are you
No.
just saying, hey, this is just who I am and who it attracts? Or are you also saying, I know who I actually want to work with, and I don't want
Correct.
anybody who's bougie and is expecting I want somebody who's just as real as I am.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is what I've built. I've built an entire business. So from me building out a revenue share group and a team of agents, most of those agents had that same mindset. The clients, as I was active in production, those are the types of clients that I attracted. Now that I'm on the investment side, people that bring me their houses, the contractors that I work with, everyone in my circle, that's who they are.
So let's talk about flipping. Your House Flipping Academy is coaching up agents all over the country, probably all over the world at this point. What are some of the biggest leverage plays people overlook when they're trying to get into the flipping game?
So the first issue that a lot of people have with flipping is they think that flipping is just simply finding a cheap house, improving it, and then selling it for as much money as possible. On its face, that's what it is. But what it really is like 7 businesses in one. So I think the mark that most people are missing is that if you get in and you actually build out verticals and you're efficient and you're making money from all of the different pieces of the process of flipping houses, that's what makes you really valuable. And then you're able to leverage all of the different pieces as the markets shift. So I'll give you an example. So when we first started, we hired a random general contractor. We, were using a random hard money lender. When I needed help with design, I was hiring a designer. I would hire a stager to stage it. I listed myself. But then I realized over time, all of those things were pieces of this one end product that I was making. And if I could figure out a way to make money on all of those pieces, then I could get smarter and leverage my skill set and leverage my knowledge in the game, but then do that for other people and have less exposure financially. And so I think that's a big piece of the puzzle that flippers are missing. They think, again, that the lick is just buying the cheap house, fixing it up and selling it. When the real lick is the knowledge that you're going to get from all of the pieces of the puzzle in that business. And now I'm able to make 6 figures on a deal for houses that I'm not even buying. Because guess what? I'm going to find the house. I can wholesale it to you. I can then broker the hard money loan to you. I can then write the scope of work for the construction, and I'm making money on the construction. Oh, and by the way, I have all of the wholesale accounts with the materials directly with the suppliers. So I'm a reseller for them. So all of my floors and my cabinets and my countertops, all of that, I'm doing the design. So I'm obviously going to use those materials. Oh, and by the way, because I'm doing the design, I have a design fee in there as well. Oh, and now I have inventory so I can stage it. And then one of my agents from this organization that I've built out is going to list the house and sell it. You're able to get 100% of your proceeds and profits on something that you know nothing about. I leveraged all of my knowledge in building out a house flipping business, and now I'm making money 7 different ways on one transaction.
Do y'all see what I'm talking about? You understand what I'm talking about right now? Like, you've changed the game. I guess the question that I have is like, are you emulating something that you've seen? Or was this just God-given like inspiration where you're like, oh, wait a minute, I see the matrix?
Yeah. I'm a visionary, man. And if I got to be honest with you, I'm the visionary. My husband is the implementer. I literally can step back from other people's businesses and I can see all the holes in it. And I can see all of the opportunities and the inefficiencies in it. And I can tell you exactly what to do, how to scale it, how to build it out. And then I'm done with it. I almost get a rush from it.
Yeah.
I almost get a rush from building that out. And so, yeah, I was just able to see it. And I told my husband that as we were building it, I'm like, why are we not brokering hard money loans to other people? Because everyone comes to us since we're flipping houses. Why are we not getting the houses that we find and we can't take down, getting those to other people? Why are we not leveraging our knowledge and skill in construction and design? And so for me, yeah, it was just something that I could see because I guess I'm just a visionary.
So how do you manage all of those pieces, right? Like, the agent who wants to flip their first house, or maybe they flipped a couple of homes already and they're like, yeah, I make pretty good money flipping. And then I'm also on the retail side and I'm selling, but they're not in the staging game, interior
The
design.
leverage. This is the leverage lounge. You're never going to be an expert at everything, but what you are, and you and I were at an event, Mike. Actually, let me go back to the event that we were at in Detroit.
Yeah.
And we did that exercise where we wrote in the middle of the page, realtor. And then we came up with all of the different ways that
All
money
people
can
can
be
eat.
made off of a transaction that we bring to the table.
Right.
That is the same exact concept here. So you can't be a loan officer and the inspector and do the photography. And you can't do all of it. But what you are is you're the connector to all of those pieces. And all you have to do is build out deals with those end players to capture revenue from all of those different streams. So I'm not even saying that, people have to necessarily do it exactly how I've done it. I prefer to be a little bit more direct in my approach with the different businesses that I run. But even just being a connector for those can help you build out tons of different sources of revenue because you're going to be talking to these people anyway. When you're flipping houses, you got to talk to a designer. You got to have a construction crew ready. You got to have all of these moving pieces. So why are you not figuring out a way to make money off of that? Because as you start blowing up and people know who you are because you're putting out a good quality product, they're going to start coming and asking you questions about these things. And there's no reason why you can't benefit from it.
So good, man. That's so good. Like, how do you structure the flipping education to make it repeatable? Is it like an LMS that you have set up so people buy a program that you have and then they learn from that? Or is there more hands-on? Or are you flipping with you,
So
JD?
I've played around with the flipping education thing quite a bit. And I'll tell you where I've landed. So I've done all the things. I have a course. I have an immersion program where people can fly to Dallas and work with me for an entire week. I have one-on-one coaching. But what I have found is that in-house flipping and really in anything in general, I'm going to say something else controversial.
Go.
I think that coaching and courses is a scam. And here's why. A coach can only teach you the plays that they know. A coach can only teach you how to play the game that they've played. And in this business, there are 1,000 different ways to skin a cat. because I can only teach you based on my skill set, my experiences, my financial standing. I can teach you everything that I know, and it might not work for you. It can make me 7 figures, but it may not work for you. I now do not push any of my coaching programs and instead have created a community called Flip Society. And that is where the people that I'm helping are getting the most value. It is low cost, low investment. But what is happening is you get access one-on-one to ask questions, but then you have an entire community of other people that are doing the same thing that you're doing, that you can kind of take little pieces of what they're doing and implement it in your own way based on your strengths, your weaknesses, your financial position, your geographic location. Because I think that we've just gotten to a point now in the educational space where everyone is peddling that what I'm doing is the best, and it's just not, because it's never going to be the best for everybody.
Well, I definitely agree that the coaching industry is very saturated with those who do it and know it versus those who just kind of show it and don't really do much else, right? They show it, but it's not the real deal. And listen, whatever is your hustle is your hustle. So
Right.
if people are buying into your coaching platform and you're listening to
Right.
this and you're like, I know she didn't just say that. She did say it and she meant it. And there's some truth to it. But you do what works for you. And
Absolutely.
what you're doing, I like the group coaching mentality where you're created
Yeah.
a community, a place
Yeah.
where these agents or these people, whoever it is, feel supported.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to be an agent to be a part of your community, correct?
No. It's mostly agents that are looking to transition into getting into real estate investing, but I've got people from all different walks of life. Even when they ask, like, can I get some one-on-one coaching? Look, I can teach you this. If you're good at these things, if you're good on camera, if you can lead generate the way that I lead generate, if you can close the way that I close and build relationships like I can, then it'll work for you. Otherwise, it's going to be a waste of money. So you need to talk to yourself and be introspective and make sure that this is going to be worth it for you. And most of the time they say, you know what, I'm not Chauncey. So maybe I should stay in here, use some of what she's teaching, but also take what some of the other people are doing and then build out something for myself.
Okay. So I want to get into a little bit of how the sausage is made with some of the stuff that I'm going to ask you here. And then I want to go into some of the TV stuff we've done. All right. So do you have established content pillars? You're like, hey, I know that I need to post, not necessarily formulaic, but I know that I post about this, and this on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, whatever that is. I'd like to know about your content pillars. Talk about maybe some DM strategies or automations that you might have, and even some of the lead magnets. And maybe that goes into your content pillars. What your lead magnets look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So my content pillars, I'm always just speaking to realtors that want to transition out of production and into the investment side of things. So that's my avatar, is essentially a pretty high producing realtor that has money that can, kind of move into.
Okay.
My pillars are just simply education on house flipping and kind of myth busting, getting rid of common issues and myths about the business. I also have a content pillar that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, which is what I call my enemy content pillar. So I have created a common enemy with my client avatar. My enemy that I gang up with the people that consume my content is house flippers that just do gray and white, boring, cheap flips. And so, a lot of people forget that you can really get buy-in from your audience and gain their trust when you hate the same people that they hate, which we see that, right now, just in general in the world.
Yep.
But so that's a content pillar for me. And then the last is just speaking to realtor problems. So a lot of the issues that realtors experience in specifically burnout, feeling taken advantage of. So I really try to tune into the emotional side of what tires realtors. But those are my 3 main pillars. So you've got your flipping, investment, education, our common enemy, and then, kind of the rock in the shoe for the realtor.
And are you doing DM automation? So do you have mini chat set
Mini
up
chat.
and somebody just, okay.
Yep. So I have mini chat set up. So for a lot of the things that I may, share, then most of mine is just comment a word and then it will send a download or whatever. And I'm collecting emails through that and then doing email marketing on the back end.
Okay. So email marketing in the back, and then you're converting from the emails. What are you trying to get from the email? So from email, they're
joining Flip Society.
joining it. Okay. So that's where they join. Are they paying to join?
Yes. So they pay
Okay.
to join Flip Society. There's a monthly fee. And another thing that I do a lot of is I do kind of the one to many strategy. So
Yeah.
twice a month, I do a webinar. So again, I'll make a video that's very interesting, and it'll catch people's attention. And then to get more information about what I'm talking about in the video, comment, blah, 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 to get access to this webinar. And so I do them twice a month and they sell out every month with 100 people in each one. And
Wow.
I'm teaching different things, the fundamentals about flipping. So finding, funding, fixing, furnishing, and then flipping. And so I just kind of rotate those.
I was
And
going to
so
ask
I
you. Okay.
sell, yeah, I sell a lot of memberships from that.
Okay. So, and you're just rotating the content. So you don't necessarily have to create new stuff all the time.
No,
But
no, no, no. So
yeah,
it's the same ones, but I just rotate them.
love that. Simple. Again, there's
Simple.
genius in your simplicity. I love it. Let me ask you, what's something that someone can implement this week to start building authority in their niche? Because I truly believe that the riches are in the niche. You have your avatar, you know exactly who you're talking to, and you know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Most agents, as you know, because you've coached agents who are brand new and agents who don't even have their license yet, trying to get their license, most agents don't have any idea of who they want to sell to, who they want to talk
Right.
to. And so they're kind of talking to everybody, but nobody's listening. So what would you say about that?
The easiest thing is enemy marketing. Regardless of where you are in your business, there is something that you don't like. You're talking to the consumer that hates cheap finishes in new construction. And so that's who you're banning with your client avatar against. You're going out and you are making it your mission to find every builder out here that has, a cheap product. Or maybe it's, sellers that overprice their property. So now you're going out and you're making it a mission to tour properties and, show the comps and show how these sellers are unrealistic and, what the problem is and how long they've been sitting on the market versus those that are priced properly. Like really honing in because people want community right now and they
Yeah.
want community with people that are like-minded. So if you can figure out what people don't like, and it's probably just something that you hate. You don't like peanut butter and banana sandwiches. There's probably a gaggle of people somewhere that loathe peanut butter and banana sandwiches just like you. You start pumping out marketing content that is against peanut butter and banana sandwiches, then most of those people are going to come to you regardless of how else they feel about everything else. And so I think that is probably the most overlooked, fastest, easiest way to start gaining trust from an audience and build an audience very quickly.
And that is no shade against those who like peanut butter and banana sandwiches, because let me tell you, it will go
They're very
down in my
tasty.
household. I do
I
love,
like them. I
I
like them with a
love
little
them.
honey.
Oh, with a drizzle of honey, and don't do granola too. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Hey, listen, guys, this episode is brought to you by SmartHire VA because you don't need to hustle harder, you need to hire smarter. So if you need a virtual assistant who actually helps you scale your real estate business or your marketing or your back-end systems, we can help you to find, place, and train the right VA so that you can stay in your zone of genius and keep it simple. So visit leveragewithmike.com and let's get started. All right, I want to bring you to the lightning round.
Okay.
All right. So this is just a series of questions. We're going to put you in the Leverage Lounge hot seat. And these are 5 rapid fire questions. And we're just going to go quick. Now, typically what ends up happening is I want to learn more. So I'm going to ask you to answer it quick, but then we might dive in a little bit deeper. Is that all right?
Okay. Fair enough.
All right, here we go. All right. Favorite tech tool that you just cannot live without?
Software or hardware?
Let's go software.
Software, Podio.
You use a Podio. I used to use Podio when I was wholesaling. Why is that one?
I just like that the way that we have it set up, we have everything in there just for each job that we have. So my construction manager, project manager, all of us have access to it. We have links in there to the spreadsheets that we're using. It's just our centralized hub to navigate everything.
That's good. Okay. So that was software. If it was hardware, what would it be?
DJI.
I knew it was going to be something that you have in front of you. What is that?
It's called a DJI Action 5. It's an action camera. So kind of like a GoPro, but it's a DJI and it's awesome. It's like $350 camera. I take it everywhere. It fits in your pocket. It's awesome.
Okay. I didn't know about that one. All right. What's one mistake agents make when they try to scale?
They try to do it too quickly.
Okay. Talk about
I
that.
think they just, yeah. I think that people think that scaling is getting bigger when scaling is actually making more money. I think that they focus on the optics of it getting bigger. So I need more agents. I want a bigger team. I need more deals. But then at the end of the day, their bottom line is less because they've neglected to look at all of the expenses that brought in and what the return on their time investment was going to be. And so they're burned out and broke by the end of it. And so I think that that's the biggest issue. It's not how big it is, it's how much money you're making.
That's so good. Oh my gosh, man, you stepping on some toes today. I love it. All right. Book or podcast that changed the game for you outside of the Leverage Lounge podcast. I already know you've listened to all of these episodes. So yes.
The book is Surrounded by Idiots. It just teaches you how to manage different personalities around you. And so it essentially has you categorize people by color. And so now as I speak to people, I see them as a green person or a blue person or a red person or a yellow person. And based on that, then I know how to lead them. And so that has been really big for me because I'm not a good leader. I'm a great cheerleader, but I'm not necessarily a good leader with holding people accountable and having difficult conversations. And that book helped me manage all of the people in my life, business and personal.
Okay. You had me a little concerned when you said separate people by color at first. I said, we're going backwards, but okay.
No, actual primary colors.
Primary colors. All right. I'm with it. Okay. I'm like, hey, I'm from Georgia. So I'm like, wait, what are we talking about now? All right. What about a podcast? Any podcast that is like on your playlist that you can't live without?
I don't listen to a lot of podcasts.
Okay. That's all right.
I listen to Spanish podcasts because I'm trying to learn Spanish, but that's it.
Hey, that's something. All right. What's one thing that looks like leverage, but really isn't? And maybe you already talked about that one.
It would have to be, in terms of the real estate world, agents. I think that there is a fine line. So what ends up happening is we get to a point where we're like, I don't want to be in production anymore. I want to build out a team, or I'm going to build out a revenue share group, and I'm going to bring on all of these agents, and I'm just going to make money from them. And so then you're able to, kind of leverage their efforts and their labor and time, and then you can step back. That's the biggest mistake that you can ever make in the business, because it's not just agents, it's quality agents that are actually going to sell. So yes, I would say, again, kind of going back to what I said was a big mistake, which is growing too quickly and looking at the optics of it. Having more isn't necessarily more.
More doesn't equal more all the time, right?
No.
More could absolutely equal less.
All the time.
There was a point in time in your trajectory where you had Pick Chauncey's Brain calendar link. What was the reason that you even created that, and where did that lead?
So I saw kind of a high-powered influencer agent one day. He made a post on Facebook that said, I'm so sick of people offering me a beer and a hamburger for lunch for all of the knowledge that I've gotten in this business. Like, no, you can't pick my brain for a beer and a hamburger. And I thought, I've always wanted to talk to this guy, and I don't know what I could have offered him. I'm pretty sure there are other people that think the same. What if I do let people pick my brain for free? What can I get from that? And that was during a time that I was trying to build my team. And so I started putting that at the bottom of all of my YouTube videos. It was my call to action to everything. And I was getting 12, 13 calls a day sometimes that were free calls of agents that just wanted another agent that had been successful in the business to pick their brain and ask them questions. And where that led me was being the top recruiter at the brokerage for a couple of years. And all of those people just came from conversations that I was having for free on picking my brain. And so I still have them. I do them sparingly. They're only 15-minute calls now instead of 45. And I talk more about investing, but they're still very valuable. And I think that it's important.
Where I want to go, though, is because what looked like leverage really wasn't. So let's talk about the reality of that, because you shared some stuff with me before about how many of those agents, they either didn't stick around, spending a lot more of your time because it was another heartbeat, but it wasn't necessarily the quality that we're talking about when we're talking about leveraging the right agents.
Yeah. And the way that I got them was the way that they expected for me to keep them, which was a very deep one-on-one personal relationship. And if I have 400 or 500 people, I can't call and talk to everybody every day. And so me, leveraging that strategy was cool to get them in, but it was very, very difficult to keep everyone in, and those that I did keep in a lot, just they couldn't sell. It wasn't a thing. It was a good strategy, and it's a good way to do some quick injections of activity, but is it sustainable? Absolutely. Yeah.
That's good. All right. Last rapid fire question. What's the one thing that you do every week that moves the needle the most?
It's my meeting with my husband that we do now every Monday morning.
Okay.
Every
Is this
Monday
about
morning.
business? Is this a business meeting, a family meeting?
It is.
Both?
It's both. It's both. We split it up into business and personal. And the whole purpose of it now is to eliminate things that are not serving us. And we have been doing that for about the last 3 months. And everything has changed. So we literally sit down every Monday morning and we go over everything that kind of happened in the past week. We're talking about everything from subcontractors to vendors that we're working with to processes that we've been doing, deals that have been sent to us, and we're analyzing how we analyzed it and what the process was, and anything that didn't work or that was messy or wasn't streamlined or took up too much of our time, didn't make us feel good, we figure out a way to eliminate it.
And is there a structure to these meetings, or is it just kind of
there's typically there's typically structure. We normally start out and talk through all of the construction stuff, all of the jobs that we have going, and then that kind of leads us into the different parts, because we just start by talking about the construction jobs that we have going, and then we talk about what happened last week with those jobs and what vendors were involved, and then what contractors and subs that we had on it, and then the draw process and the money that went out, and anything that is not serving us well and is not efficient in the process, we have to break it or eliminate it. And that has freed up so much time. What we've realized over these last 3 months is we were literally carrying ankle weights. We had anchors on our ankles that we were dragging around everywhere, and we just were not efficient. It was taking up so much of our time. It was taking up money. And so now taking that quick hour every Monday to review everything and just getting rid of stuff, like now we're running very lean.
I love that, man. So that takes me to another side of the equation, which is, you and your husband run the business.
Yes.
Right? Talk to us about that. How has that evolved over time? There's people who are doing it. Maybe it's not going so well and something needs to change sooner than later. But there's also people who think about it. I can tell you, like, even with me, I'm on the real estate side of things. My wife works at Disney. And sometimes I'm like, man, I look at these husband and wife couples and I'm like, gosh, like they're like working together and they're like building something and they're playing off of each other. But then I also see the other side of it, and then it's not as good, right? Maybe business is good, but home isn't good. And so how has that changed over time? Working with your husband, creating that business partnership with him, where was it and where is it now?
It used to be terrible. It almost made us get divorced. And that was rough because the dynamic, my husband is very A-type personality. He was a C-suite executive. He's used to leading a certain way. And when we first started working together, he almost tried to manage me like I was an employee. And like, I don't know if you can't tell from this conversation, but no one can manage me. And so
like I can tell a little bit.
Yeah, I can't be managed. And so over time, what we had to do was sit down and be honest with ourselves and look at our business in departments almost. And then we had to say, okay, you're in charge of that department. You're in charge of that department. You're in charge of that one. I'm not going to step on any toe. I'm going to just come to you and ask you what's happening in those departments. And you as the department head, we're going to talk through that. And if there are inefficiencies, then we'll fix it. It has evolved. And it's been almost 10 years that we've been at this together. And it's taken us up until about the last 3 years is when we finally figured it out.
Last 3 years. Wow.
Yeah. So out of the last, we've been at it 8 years. So the first 5 were horrible. The last 3 have been great.
So nobody should come into this expecting that it's going to be bubblegum and roses when you're working with
your spouse. No, absolutely not.
So how do we separate parenthood, marriagehood, and the hood of being in business together? How do we separate all of that? How do you find time for it all?
We've built our businesses in a very strategic way around us having time. I told you, we don't like spending a lot of time in the business. So by and large, we spend most of our time on marriage and kids. It's not the other way around. It used to be because it had to be, but we were very strategic in how we built it out. So now it's actually very simple. We don't spend a lot of time in the business. We work on the business every day for a couple of hours, but we're not working in the business. And that was a big deal for us. So, I mean, we spend most of our time just with our kids.
Love it. So let's get into TV.
Oh, Lord.
How in the world did you pull off what I think is an incredible feat? And I think I know some of the story, but I want our listeners to hear this because you on TV, gal, you a star. You and your husband is a star. And so
D-list.
how did this work out? Tell us about it. A&E gave you a call and said, we got to have you. How did this work out?
So it actually started, and I knew I was onto something being in front of the camera. I asked my husband to buy me a camera. I got a little Canon G7X Mark II to start a YouTube channel for Christmas of 2017. I published my first YouTube video in February of 2018. By April of 2018, a television producer had reached out to me and said that he found my YouTube channel, he liked my personality, and that they wanted to pitch me as talent to some production companies. So fast forward, nothing came from that. They did the whole sizzle reel and all of that, pitched me, but they couldn't come up with a good proof of concept. So then that contract expired. It happened again with another producer. He tried the same thing, and they just couldn't come up with show ideas. That was 2018. So I was under contract really from all of 2018 through 2020 with production companies. And because nothing kind of came from that, once those contracts expired, I was like, I'm done with that. And I got a message in my Instagram from a producer that said that he had a show that he wanted to talk to me about. And that was in November of 21. I ignored him. I said, I'm not doing this again. These people I'm not doing this. So I ignored him for a whole month. Man kept messaging me. He emailed me. And finally he was like, okay, I don't think you think this is real. I'm a casting director for an existing show that's already been on for 4 seasons. They're just expanding it. And we would like to talk to you about becoming a flipper in the city, in a new city. And so that's when I started talking to him. Then he let me know what the show was. They, had us send in sizzle reels, and we sent someone out here. They did all of that, submitted us. And by February, we got word that A&E had chosen us as a cast to do it. And we started filming in June of 2022.
So tell me about that experience. Was that like,
Horrible.
how did you feel when you got that call back where you're like, oh my God, this is about to be.
And I knew it was going to happen because I didn't care that time. The other times I went and got my makeup done to do all this stuff and sizzle reels, and I was all excited and I was like waiting on them to call. This time I didn't care. I was like, all right, just send your camera guy. Like, I'll be over here at this house. Like, I'm working. Like, literally did not care. So I told my husband, I was like, they're going to want us because we don't care about it this time. And sure enough, we got it. So it was exciting. It was flattering first that someone would want me on a television show. But very quickly, I discovered that TV world is not real life at all. And they are willing to sacrifice what you actually have going on in your real life in order to make good TV. And I'm not for that. And so they don't like me in that industry.
Yeah. So been there, done that. Probably would do it again.
I would. Now knowing how it works, I would, but only if I had creative freedom and if I had a little bit more control of the situation.
I want to talk about something that you spoke about openly, which was body image, body shaming, growing into you understanding how beautiful you were, questioning it at times, basically because of the comments that you were receiving and such. Take us through that, because most people listening to this will never have a TV show. However, these are the same people who are afraid to hold up their camera and put themselves on a reel or on stories because they're worried about what they look like, how they sound, what they, whatever, right? What experience they have.
Right.
So talk us through the level of confidence and the graduation from where you started to where you are now.
Yeah. So when I got on TV, I would say that my confidence was good because I had built a bubble around myself with an audience of people that liked me. So I was on YouTube, I was on social media, but by and large, everything was positive in terms of the response. I was looked at as the authority. I then got thrown onto a television show where the network did not alert its viewers that the cast would be changing. And I was the complete opposite from what the past cast was in every way possible. And I received a tremendous amount of hate. So that was hate emails. I had people that were calling my phone in the middle of the night. You fat black bee. Like it was wild it was really wild. Like they only let you on TV right now because fat black women are trend. And for me, I almost even think that that affected me more than the physical stuff because I hate when people call me stupid, and I hate when people pretend that my intellect and my skill level isn't what got me where I am, that it's some external reason. And so it really shook me. I would say for about a month, I did not post anything on social media. I was just
Yeah.
really pissed off. And I was really almost pissed off at humanity because I hadn't seen that part. I'd built this bubble around myself. All of my friends were all very diverse in everything from socioeconomic status to religion to sexual orientation to race to ethnicity. And here I was being attacked for the very thing that I thought is what was cool, which was, the diverse part of me and my husband in an interracial relationship. We're a little bit edgier. So essentially, it just pissed me off, and I functioned on spite. And I knew that I could change my weight. I knew that I could change my appearance. I was like, okay, fine. If you guys want to dog me about that, I'll just fix that, and then we'll see what else you're left with. And so I
Yeah.
went on a crazy mission to make people eat their words. And here I am, 58 pounds lighter.
Let's
And
go.
yeah, and so that's where we are.
Are we healthier?
Oh, definitely. Way
Okay.
healthier. I don't have any of the health issues that I had before. All of the inflammation is gone. I walk almost 4 miles every single day.
There we go.
So I've completely changed over the last 2.5 years or so, everything about my health and my life.
And see, that's it. That's why I wanted to talk about that, because I think people need to hear that sometimes we have to go through these challenges, these things that feel like failures in the middle of it, and they make you angry, and they make you, like I said, angry at yourself or angry at other people, and it makes you,
Right.
it forces you to even consider whether you're changing your character. I had somebody ask me the other day, they heard about my story where I had a business partner who stole money from me, and they said, "How could you ever trust somebody again?" I said, "Because I decided not to let that change me." Right.
Yep.
For the worse. It was going to change me for the better. So I know better now. I would move differently now. But that's what I hear you saying. And I think it's just so important for people to hear that. Sometimes God allows you to go through these chapters of your life where it feels like you're alone. It feels like you've been abandoned, but then you're able to kind of use that as leverage to move into the next level of who you were really meant to be. And I think you're
Absolutely.
moving at full 100% authenticity now. And I absolutely love it. And we are all absolutely here for it. Okay.
Love
Now,
it.
here at the Leverage Lounge, we believe that the top 5% do what the 95% won't. So what's
Yes.
the one thing that most people don't do, but it makes all the difference in your business?
I am not married to an outcome.
Come on.
I am not married to any particular outcome at all. I think that what has made what I've built special is the fact that I will pivot at the drop of a dime. And not only will I pivot, but even while I'm in something good and while it's working good, I never get comfortable, and my eyes are always open to what ways I would pivot if everything hits the fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think far too many business owners in any industry get married to the idea that they have in their brain of how success is going to look for them, what they're going to build out, what it's going to look like. I ain't married to any of it. I will go and sell some hearing aids tomorrow. I will open up a trash company. I don't care, right? Because I understand that the only thing that is guaranteed and that is constant is change.
Right.
And I operate from a place of understanding that nothing is going to last forever. And I always have a pivot in the back of my head.
Mm. Yeah, I would definitely say and agree that 95% of people do not work that way, act that way, or even have that belief. Thank you for sharing that. Listen, this was incredible. I want to make sure that our listeners know Where to go next? Yeah, we clocking. We're clocking. Yeah, I see it. We clocking. Right. You know what? I learned that from some of the, some of the young people at a real estate conference I was at, and I did it. And they rolled. They thought it was so funny. So I do it to my kids. I'm like, what are you talking about? I want to make sure that our listeners know where to go next. What do you have coming up that people should know about? Where can they connect with you, enroll in the program, follow along, see all of your hilariously funny reels that you share? Talk to us.
Yeah. Essentially, I am on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on YouTube with the same name, which is _Chauncey Show. So just look me up there. You can follow me there, and links in bio on all of those places lead you all to the same place, which is myrealestaterebel.com, which will, give you access to pretty much everything that I have.
You are the real estate rebel. Some of the stuff that you say, I be DMing you all the time. I'm like, no, you didn't. You're like, yes, I did. I sure did. It's so funny, but it's so refreshing, and I really do. I just love you, man. I think the world of you.
I love you more.
And, you have a genius mind. The way that you work, the way that you operate, the way you cut through the noise, and you're able to do that in a way with clarity and able to communicate that even. There's some people who are able to be really good at business, but they can't necessarily communicate why they're good, or they don't necessarily understand how to communicate with others very well, play well in the sandbox. But I think you do both very well, which is a gift. And so, hey guys, if you're listening to this and you got value from this conversation, make sure you make sure you drop us a comment. Let Chauncey know, let her know how much you got out of this, what you got out of this, what was your one key takeaway. And make sure, again, you share and subscribe wherever you're listening or you're watching. And all the full show notes are available to you at leveragewithmike.com. And if you're ready to scale with the right team, check out how virtual assistant placement services can actually help you scale smarter and faster. Make sure you head over to leveragewithmike.com. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Leverage Lounge podcast. I'm Mike Collier. We'll see you next time. And remember, let's scale smarter.